it just seems very basic. Hey YouTube, it's Ashley Offset. It's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded a video, and that's really due to one reason. If I had to sum it up, it would be this Gibson SG standard in silver burst with the ebony fingerboard. I truly was that excited to get this guitar, and I have been on such a high since I got it because it was everything that I was looking for in an SG, really since I started the channel. And the reason that I started this channel was not because I thought I would get a lot of subscribers at all. I honestly didn't think I would get any. But it was because I had so much going on in terms of guitar purchases. So I got my first Gibson custom shop, and then I got Guitar of the Day from Norman's Rare Guitars. And those were things I really just wanted to document. But along the way, the best thing ever happened, and I actually got some subscribers and some people to engage with and kind of have a back and forth with about guitars. And it has been a complete blast. But back to this guitar. When I got so excited to have this guitar, of course I only wanted to play this guitar. And I guess the problem became, I have a life outside of practicing guitar and collecting guitars. I have a family and I have a job. And so doing YouTube videos is something that becomes a hobby, just like playing the guitar or collecting guitars. And so anytime you add more to your life, you kind of have to juggle priorities. And what was happening was, I was on such a high from the engagement of the videos that it became, okay, I need to upload the next video, and what's my next video, and what's my next guitar? And that was pure happiness and fun. But once I got this one, it was like, okay, this is a little bit of overkill. I'm getting a lot of really nice guitars, and I'm having to turn around and get another guitar because I'm on this high, and I just want to enjoy this one. And I just want to get back to the reason that I started the channel was because guitar is something that I picked back up, and it became like therapy. It really calms me down, and I tend to be a very anxious person, and so it was like a newfound or a refound love all over again. And it just so happened that I had gotten a Gibson custom shop and then the Norman's Rare Guitars Guitar of the Day, and I was like, there's no way that I'm not going to document this stuff. But that was without the expectation of any subscribers. So I've had to reset myself, and I have found, and kind of the theme of this video is that anytime something in my life is kind of really going heavily in one direction, but the gains are not really there if I sit down and think about it, I need to reevaluate. And it's really a matter of getting back to the basics. And I love saying that so much because when I first started guitar, when I was still living at home with my parents, much younger, I had a great guitar teacher teach me the foundations of guitar. And he always said, go back to the basics. The basics are what's going to put you back at square one, but also take you to the next level. You've got to be anchored in the basics. And so the basics for me in this scenario was, let's get back to before I started the channel. What was that passion? What did that look like? And really it was practicing a lot and learning new things. And also, on the other side of this hobby is my, desire to obtain guitars and check out new guitars. And so kind of balancing that, not always just getting something new for the sake of getting it and throwing it up here on the channel. I really needed to take a step back. And so what does life look like when I go back to the basic in terms of guitar? So back to the basics for me, for this purpose, has looked kind of like a couple of things. I can put it into two major buckets. What have I been doing to get back to the basics and kind of away from this scurrying to buy new gear to upload to the channel to start all over again kind of cycle? And before I get into that, I'm just going to tell you that cycle hasn't ended. New gear has come into the house, and I'm so excited to share that with you next week, but in a better headspace to do so because it will remain genuine. And so if you like those kind of videos, please stay around because they're coming. I just have to make sure that they're coming from a genuine place for me. I'm being authentic because I think that's the only reason to sit here and talk to a camera, okay? So with that, sometimes, like in the Ron Thorne video about what's going on with Fender, that video had nothing to do with new gear, but I just needed to get those things out because that's where I was kind of on this guitar journey. And right now on this guitar journey, for the past couple of weeks, really several weeks, I've been in the back to the basics thing. So what does that look like? The first thing it looks like, I was a little embarrassed initially to even bring this up because it seems very basic, but much needed for me in my journey. So this video is absolutely not sponsored by anyone, although I will be talking about at least a couple of brands that have really helped me get back to the basics. Has nothing to do with someone telling me to say something. It's truly where I'm at on my journey. So the first thing, Fender Play. Now, Fender Play will take you back to the bare basics. So I first started a trial, and I will admit, Fender Play, unless you are an absolute beginner, like you just got a guitar and have no idea what's going on, it's gonna seem very slow. And I'm a very methodical person, so I don't want to log into Fender Play and click on level 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna start at level 1, no matter how painful and things that I already know and I have to sit through them. But it's done a lot for me in doing that. So click level 1, go through the whole thing. It takes you through very basic stuff. And so what I found myself doing was being bored, and so knowing what they were going to speak about for the next 3 to 5 minutes, understanding the theory that they were teaching, but allowing myself to be re-exposed to it. And I might have been kind of like noodling around on the guitar or looking at my phone sometimes or whatever. But what it did was make me realize some things about the basics that I didn't have down quite as much as I thought I did, but also in that boredom, sitting through that lesson, knowing that I know more, it sparked some creativity. One thing about my journey that I really desperately want to do is find my own sound. And so to do that, I first have to get better at playing guitar, because there are some sounds that I want to make that I just quite frankly don't know how to find on the guitar. And so I'm learning the fretboard, and I'm learning how to find sounds and what sounds go good together in chord shapes and all of that good stuff. But really going back, and even stuff like playing to a metronome, which on Fender Play, they have you play things at a very, very slow pace and slow speed. And while I thought I had really good rhythm and tempo, those slow speeds are so slow that I would be hitting notes just a little bit early because I'm like, come on, let's go. But I think there's something valuable in actually being able to play to time, obviously. And I didn't know that I wasn't as good at that as I thought I was. And so, yeah, Fender Play, I think I'm on level 3 or 4 now. And there may be 7 or 8 levels, a little bit scared to continue climbing, because right now it's still stuff that I know. So it's kind of fun because I'm like, oh yeah, I know this. And so they'll incorporate little songs. If you're curious, they'll do like a lesson, like teach you some foundational things. And then they'll put those chords with the foundational things, and they'll put it with a familiar song that you've heard before. You can choose a genre that you're interested in too. So I believe I'm doing rock and roll. And so they'll do classic rock and roll songs, modern rock and roll songs, but you could also choose blues, and I'm sure that they would give you a blues selection for the level that you're at. But again, if you try it out, don't kill me, because it is really methodical and slow at first. And there are a lot of finger warming exercises that they do for 20, 30, 40 minutes of just sitting there doing those. And I'm subjecting myself to it because, again, getting back to the basics, learning, you don't know what you don't know. So there could have been things that I missed in my early education on guitar through that guitar teacher. It was an absolute legendary guitar teacher in my eyes, but I think a lot of the people in this area's eyes as well. Fender Play, absolutely a must-have for me right now in my journey to getting back to the basics. Also, I noticed that in my videos, so this is kind of the second bucket of what I've been doing to get back to the basics. It kind of killed me in the videos because, well, in prep for the videos, if I'm pulling a guitar out of my collection or getting a new guitar to show on the channel, I needed to have it set up, or not even set up. Say it's a guitar I've had for a really long time and I love the way it is, but I haven't played it in so long that the strings are rusty. And I need to become acquainted with the guitar all over again, and it needs to have new strings, especially for showing on the channel, all of that good stuff. I couldn't change my own strings, and I, admitted that on the channel, and there's absolutely no reason for me to be that way. If I'm gonna take care of my guitar so well and take pride in my guitars, there's absolutely no reason. It to me is like tying my own shoes. Like, I need to know how to tie my own shoes. I need to know how to change my guitar strings so that I'm not held up waiting for someone else to do something that is so fundamental to owning a guitar. So I watched a couple of YouTube videos and I basically got the gist. There are several strategies that people use to change strings, and basically I kind of combined everyone's take on how to do it and got the common denominator from each video. I was like, okay, basically I need to do this. and I was really worried that I'd get it wrong, and shockingly I didn't. It all went well on the first try. In fact, I really want to bring that guitar out just really quickly because it's also kind of important in my journey of back to the basics. So just really quickly, just have this on camera for just a minute, but this is made in Mexico Fender Strat, my very first electric guitar, given to me on my birthday by my dad, who's no longer with us. So, you know, if you're ever thinking about, if there were a fire, which guitar would I grab? I really don't care about values. This is the one that would come out of the door with me. I call her Old Red. I hope to feature in a video soon, but I'm bringing her out here because back to the basics, this is where it all started, and I changed the strings on this to get started. And I'm really proud to say that it went right the first time. But yeah, I take a lot of pride in knowing that I can change my own strings now, and it was not a big deal. It was just something that I needed to slow down and say, why don't I know this? And I'm gonna learn it now. So now I know how to do that. And also just like, there's nothing that gets on my nerves more than a dirty fretboard, but because I couldn't change my own strings, that was always something that I hoped that the person who was changing my strings or setting up my guitar would kind of take care of for me. So it was super enjoyable. Second product plug, no sponsorship at all. And I've never had a kit like this before. I'm not going to say that it's better than everything else, but I'm gonna tell you it's good enough that I'm not gonna look for any other products to clean my guitars from here on out, because this one is so cool. So it comes with a cleaner for the body of your guitar, and then a polish for the body, cleaner for the fretboard, a polish for the fretboard, fret polishing material itself, and several microfiber cloths, and then the Ultra Glide conditioner for the strings. And so it's just kind of like an all-in-one kit that'll have you up and running. If you're changing your strings, a great time to do that. But it got that guitar that I just showed you. It just had years and years of gunk on it from not being cleaned. The strings were original probably to that birthday that I was telling you about. So they desperately needed to be changed. And I'm just so proud that I was able to do that. So back to the basics, the 2 buckets, Fender Play for me, instead of hopping from lesson to lesson on YouTube or looking up random tabs, just going on a journey with Fender Play for a little bit, spark some creativity on my end to just kind of noodle around and hear different sounds. And the people listening to me play guitar, which are very few and far between, but just the people in my house, specifically my husband, whenever I'm doing that, like, I'm really self-conscious about letting anyone hear like a freestyle kind of thing from me. So anything I do is very planned in front of people. Just playing around more with those sounds, he's like, I really like what you're doing right now. And that has given me the spark to kind of keep going in this direction, so that one day maybe I can find my sound and I can feel more comfortable moving around the fretboard. So that's been my journey for the past couple of weeks. Again, I've already got a new guitar here in the house, so I'm kind of back to doing that. The channel will be more regular uploads and all that. Every now and then though, guys, I really appreciate you kind of listening to where I'm at, because I just needed a reset. And I hope that no matter what you're going through in your life, whether it's with guitar or anything else, you kind of take a moment to breathe and know that you don't have to rush. You can look at what's going on around you, and you can reset and get back to the basics and think about what's important to you and what you want to accomplish, and then keep pushing forward. So thank you so much for sitting here and listening to me just talk about my journey, and I will see you guys within the next week or so with a new piece of gear that I think you're really going to love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.